Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. I'm Debbie Georgiani along with Jerry Usher and you, because you drive this show. Phone lines fill up right away on this show, and that's a good thing because you have a lot to say. And today's topic, I think we can all relate to, because actually I did see a doctor's appointment coming up in March, and my blood pressure started to get a little high. I could feel it, Jerry, and that's what we're talking about today on Take Two.
We are, yeah. We're just a general question about health, taking care of your health. Obviously, our bodies are the temples of the Holy Spirit, so we want to be having regular checkups with the doctor and making sure all the lab work is normal, or if anything's a little bit off, working on that. And certainly if we sense that there's something maybe a little deeper or more serious going on, we want to get that checked out. But I know the reason I came up with this topic, Debbie, I think I put it on the calendar.
You did.
Is that, I for all of my life, I'm getting better at this now, but all of my life, I have I get the white coat syndrome, My blood pressure is 20 to 30 points higher when I'm at the doctor. And
I don't mean
finally, my provider, she's finally good with it. She realized, because what I do is I take my blood pressure every day. And I have a log, and I take it in with me, and I show that to her, and then she just laughs. She goes, "Okay, it's the white coat syndrome." But here's the question for you who are listening today: Are you really at ease? Going to see the doctor? Hey, it's just a routine checkup. Everything's going to be fine. Or do you sometimes have those little worries or anxieties creep into your head, like, what if my doctor finds something that I'm not aware of? So there's nothing wrong with either of those right now. But Debbie, I think it gets down to trusting that God has us in the palm of his hand, and surrendering to his holy will if there happens to be maybe some bit of bad news.
I was chuckling, Jerry, when you said that, because my the nurse practitioner that when I go to the doctor, she says that almost everybody's blood pressure gets higher. It's just like a natural thing. So you're right in the norm. Jerry, it's interesting, though, we're talking about this. We titled it, Doctor, Doctor, Give Me the News. Are you uneasy, anxious, tense, any of the things that may rise up inside of you when you have that doctor's appointment you have to go to, especially when it's something that if they're testing for something, you're thinking what Jerry just said, you could possibly be thinking the worst. Jerry, I remember in 1994 when I was called back to the doctor for my thyroid tests after the biopsy. And I remember, how they have the examining tables are kind of high up off the ground. Well, Jerry, I'm 5'3", a little bit over 5'3". So I'm sitting on this and I'm just swinging my legs like a little kid, because I'm thinking this is no big deal. Doctor walks in with that really serious, somber face. And he walks in and I'm like, Doctor, I used to call him Doc because I used to joke around with him. I said, Doc, what's up? And he goes, it's cancer. And the moment he said that, I felt the walls just close in, and I was all alone. And I drove home. It was about a 45-minute drive, and I'm crying and sobbing. I don't even know how I made it home. There was just like this wall of tears. But that's a really frightening experience, I have to tell you, and especially if you're alone when you receive those results. So we want to talk about all angles of going to see the doctor. Maybe you just absolutely love your doctor. Maybe he's a good friend of yours and you just can't wait to chit-chat and catch up with them. But we want to hear from you. Here's the number: 1-833-288-3986.
All right, again, that's toll free. You can also text the letters EWTN to 55000 with your name and your comment. There may be a slight data rate depending on your plan. Another thing that we find ourselves faced with today, Debbie and dear listeners, is the internet. The internet can be a great resource for medical advice and opinions and treatments and all of that. It could also be a minefield, let's be honest. And so I'd love to hear from anybody if maybe you've done maybe something, you got a little bump or a bruise or a scrape, something happened, and you want to do your initial sort of self-diagnosis on the internet. How did that go? I mean, did you end up having to go to a doctor after that? I mean, because, a lot of doctors, I have a nurse practitioner too, Debbie, and she would be quick to say, come see me, don't be doing self-diagnosis and treatment. I mean, not that there's all bad information out there, but that's what they're trained to do. They're trained, obviously trained professionals.
I think I would love to have some doctors call in, some nurses call in, maybe just share some things, maybe some practical tips on how we can better serve ourselves and also assist the doctor when they are trying to help us. It has to be something that we work together in, Jerry, and it's very important. So please, we want to hear from you. Don't sit this out. I know this could be a very entertaining show, but we need your input, because what you have to say can really help another person, and also it shapes the show. Here's the number: 1-833-288-EWTN.
Okay, we are going to have Rich do what he does right now, and then we'll get back to take your calls. Folks, this is a part of everyday life. If you've never been to the doctor, I want to meet you. I want to talk to you. But we all go routinely, and there could be a little bit of apprehension, or maybe not. Maybe you're kind of like that person who would never ever in the world jump out of a plane and skydive, or maybe you're like that person who would do it in a heartbeat and wouldn't think twice about it. Same thing, almost, when you go to the doctor. We'll talk more about it when we come back.
This is Raymond Arroyo, host of The World Over.
This is Doug Keck, EWTN President and Chief Operating Officer. Lenten blessings from all of us at the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Anna Mitchell.
I had this formative experience during one Sunday Mass in the Easter season in 7th grade. During the Gloria, I remember having this sense of being filled. If you can imagine what it must feel like to be a cup being filled with water, that's how it felt. It started at my feet and it moved up my body. And I've come to believe that that was the Holy Spirit. And I can really trace my zeal for the faith back to that moment.
The Sunrise Morning Show, Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio.
EWTN Religious Catalog is your online destination for Catholic books, DVDs, rosaries, devotionals, and every purchase directly supports EWTN's mission. Ready to shop? Visit EWTNRC.com today.
60 on 10 with Monsignor Charles Pope.
The second commandment, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. The disclosure of a name in the ancient world belonged to the order of trust and intimacy. And so when God revealed his name to Moses, it was an extraordinary outreach to us, saying that we were called to an intimate, trusting relationship with him. And so we should always reverence this name as a great, great gift. We should obviously never use God's name to curse or to blaspheme or to berate others. That's wholly inappropriate. God's name is meant to bring blessing. And likewise, the vain use. Vain means empty. And so some of these expressions like, oh my God, or, and so on, need to be avoided as well. Vain means empty, and those are using God's name as an empty kind of expression of exasperation. And then finally, never ever to use God's name to swear an oath falsely. The second commandment, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
Well, we're so glad you're with us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and we're talking today about going to the doctor. You can even, dentists are doctors too. So maybe going to the dentist, maybe that makes you nervous, or some other practitioner. Whatever is on your mind, we'd like to hear from you. We're tapping into your wisdom today about this. We all want to be calm, cool, and collected when we visit our doctors. So here's the number: 1-833-288-3986. That's the number to call. And first up, who got our virtual First Up Award, is Debbie from Mesa, Arizona. She's watching us. Hi, Debbie, on Facebook Live. Welcome to Take Two.
Good morning, my darling Debbie, and hi, Jerry.
Hi, Debbie.
Debbie's a really good friend of ours, so go ahead.
This is my friend Debbie, yes.
Yeah.
Encouraged me to call in. I had a procedure done yesterday, the good old 10-year colonoscopy. I see you on Facebook. Good morning. So everything went well. Thank goodness. Thank God. Just a couple of things to share. So, when I have something like this, I do give it up to God. I say a prayer, and I basically say, whoever's on duty, my guardian angel, my mom, my dad, the Lord, whoever is going to be watching over me, because I have been blessed with very good health, a few things here and there. But I also wanted to talk about twice a week I volunteer at a local hospital at the outpatient services area. And so I'm constantly escorting our guests upstairs to have a procedure done. And a lot of times they're in a pretty good mood, but once in a while I get the one I'm nervous, I'm scared. So I've learned how to kind of, talk to them, because it's about a 5-minute walk. So I try to encourage them to say, well, you have the medical technologies of today. Hopefully they'll catch things early enough that it can be helpful, and to trust in their doctors. And then when I drop them off, I will ask if it's all right if I pray for them, and they'll kind of give me that would be nice. And so on my way back, I will I'll say a prayer to watch over them and hopefully have a good outcome. And the other thing I notice is the support that they have with them, especially the spouses are always usually with them. Once in a while it's a son or daughter or brother or sister or whatever. But that, I think, is so helpful to have someone with you when you go to your doctor appointments, especially if you're looking to get some test results back, to have someone with you to support you. So just wanted to kind of give my take on that. I don't want to take up a lot of time. And just to leave it with a funny note, I guess yesterday when I was coming out of the anesthetic, my husband was there, to support me. And evidently I told him I couldn't wake up right now. I was on a cruise. So you never know what you'll say when you come out of things. Right. But evidently I was having a good time on a cruise while I was going through my procedure. So God was good to me, and
That's awesome.
I guess I wanted to share my thoughts on when I am encountering our guests when they're going up to get some have some procedure testing done. They're nervous, and I hopefully I can put them at ease.
Debbie, let me ask you a quick question. That's wonderful that you're doing that, because not only do you volunteer, that is really a ministry for you, and I think that is wonderful. And you're encountering them soul to soul. Can I ask you, in all the time that you've been volunteering at the hospital, have you, when you said, "Can I pray for you?" have you ever had somebody say, "No, thank you"?
No, I haven't.
Oh, good.
So that's been
awesome.
very comforting for me, as well as hopefully for them. I did encounter one guest last year when I was at the main desk who was looking for a priest. His father was dying, and I told them, I said, well, my good friend is Debbie Georgiani on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. And he goes, I listen to them all the time. And so, I think we talked
That's sweet.
for a few minutes about that. But, for the most part, whether they're being polite to me, by not saying no, but they seem very open and welcoming for that.
That's great.
Yeah, I think no matter where a person is, Debbie, they will be open at a time like that. And you cleared the fence with one swing, Debbie, a home run here for the topic today, because you totally spiritualize this conversation, which really is what we like to do with any topic that we put out there. And I'm with you in terms of the prayer. I mean, if I'm just going in, say I've got a doctor's appointment in 2 weeks and I got to go and get labs, I pray on my way to the labs, Lord, let the labs all be normal, or, nothing seriously wrong. I pray when I go to the doctor. And my nurse practitioner knows I'm a man of strong faith, and so she knows that is a very important element for me in my care. So I think it's beautiful, like Debbie Georgiani said, that you provide that comfort at a time when somebody could be really, really scared and not even really letting on how very scared they are. So
right. Well, Debbie's a strong woman of faith, and so she's one of my heroes. Her daughter happens to be my goddaughter, so we're very close, very, very close. We're family, right, Deb?
Yeah. Well, we are, and like I said, I get my lifts from you, Debbie, all the time. So we're a team. Yep.
Oh,
so,
bless your heart.
Humor is fun too. I told them yesterday, humor is fun is a good thing too. I told them I did not care for their cocktail hour the night before, so You have to bring humor as well as faith into things.
Oh. You mean you prepping for the test? Oh, I know. Yeah, the stuff they have to give you to prep for the test. Yeah, that's not fun. Bless you, Deb. Okay. Well, thanks for watching on Facebook Live, and we'll be talking real soon, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thanks. God bless everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, Debbie. Deb. Great to hear the joy in her voice, and being such a good friend of yours, Debbie. That's so cool, and living not too far from you either. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to go to, we have Karen on the line in Atwood, Kansas, listening on Sirius XM 130. Hello, Karen. Your take is next on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Welcome.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
I've had chronic health problems all my life, and so going to the doctor is very easy for me to do. In fact, my physician assistant is a good friend of mine. But there's an aspect of health that I think sometimes there's still a stigma attached to people going for mental health services. And we'll go for a sore throat or a broken bone or diabetes, But many times I think the mental health issues get pushed to the background, and it makes me really sad. There's still a stigma for people that seek those, and I've seen a psychiatrist monthly for 15 years for my depression.
Right. Well, I would say, Karen, you are touching on something that's very important. And actually, Debbie and I did a show, it was last week, I believe, the day
Yes,
after the horrible Florida school shooting. And, the issue of mental health came up quite extensively on that program. And the point was made by our callers and by me and Debbie that which would line up with what you're saying. Maybe not enough attention is paid to that or enough care is available. I personally find it healthy if someone is going to counseling. Okay, you mentioned the stigma, and Debbie, you know this too. If you don't want your friends or family to know that you're going to a counselor or a therapist or a psychiatrist or something, because then all of a sudden they're going to look at you like, wow, something's really wrong.
Something's wrong with you.
I find there to be something right about that, because that's a person who wants to be well in every aspect of their lives, including their brain health or their mental health.
I couldn't agree more.
I agree with you. I couldn't agree more. And the rest of the story is my master's is in counseling. I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor. And I even, need to go. And I had a wonderful psychiatrist for 14 years, and he retired, and I've got a new provider that's doing a really good job. And I feel so much better after I go that I agree is the healthiest people are the ones that go and seek the help.
Well, Karen, you could relate that to so many things. Those that get spiritual directors to try and keep their spiritual balance in their life, and they're getting help with that. Okay, those that seek out counseling or therapists, they want to have the balance in their brain health. Okay, those that go for physicals every year, they want to have the balance in their physical life. Mm-hmm. It's all about balance, and I agree with Jerry, and thank you for the work that you do, Karen, because I have to tell you that I don't refer to it as mental health. I refer to it as brain health, and the reason why is because I think that the word mental has that stigma. As soon as you say that, all of a sudden, the reason why I know, Karen, is I grew up just about 15 minutes away from, I guess you would call it the insane asylum or something in New Jersey. And it was 15 minutes away. And every single time we'd pass it, the kids in the car would go, oh, those are where the mental patients are. They would say that all the time. And it always bothered me. My uncle used to cut hair for all of those people. He was a barber. And he said, the people are wonderful. They've just had trauma in their lives. They've had things happen, injuries or something like that. It's really sad. And I think if we address it as brain health, we may start to remove that stigma, Karen.
I love that, and I'm going to start using that.
Thank you.
Great.
That's awesome. Here we go. We already started the movement. I love it. Thanks, Karen.
Thank you, Karen. You'll be in our prayers, and please keep us in yours as well. And I think the point should be made as well here. If anyone is listening and thinking, well, I don't think that I need counseling or anything. That's fine. There are people who don't need it. Or maybe don't recognize that they do, or people who can't afford it, people who are pretty well adjusted. So I think the comments, Debbie, that I made, and I'm sure that you made, don't want to be misconstrued by people who, again, don't have the resources to get that,
sure,
or simply are in a place in life where they just feel that they don't need to go. This is really for those who identify within themselves the need for something like that. And then I think when I say it's healthy, I mean it's healthy to take that step and do it after that.
Exactly. And Jerry, there's many ways to have counseling. My girlfriend, Debbie, and I get together. We counsel each other. We have that support. There's many ways, but some people don't have that support and really do need to seek out the professionals to help them and just get them back to center. And I think it's awesome. I say this all the time, Jerry. I'd live on a counselor's couch. I'd love to just unload all my burdens and problems every day.
She's not gone.
Yeah, she's not gone. Like, what about Bob? I love that movie. Okay, Kathy, you're in, I guess it's at Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
I love that. On Holy Spirit Radio. Hi, Kathy. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi.
When you were talking about what you went through when you got your diagnosis of cancer and you were alone, it just brought back the memory. I went through a similar situation. My husband was the country on business, and it was just such a traumatic moment. I can still feel it, and it was 30 years ago, and it was very serious cancer. I had surgery And chemo that I've never heard anybody else going through this kind of chemo. I went through 2 sessions of 7 days, 24-hour intravenous. It was me.
Wow.
But and radiation and so forth. And then I had to leave our home and move to Texas because of a transfer of the company, and I was uninsurable if my husband switched jobs. So it was, but the most important thing is that I had no faith at that time. My husband was a devout Catholic. I was raised in a devout Lutheran home. I really wasn't sure of anything. I wasn't sure if there was anything else. And I had young children. My youngest was 7. And I thought, well, this is it. You know, I'm going to go to a strange place and lose my support system and just die there. And I'm not really sure that there's anything else, you know. Well, I won't go into the details, but I had a very powerful conversion. St. Paul, like, in Texas, of all places. And where I guess I had to be removed from all my comfort zone, you know. And I had a very powerful physical healing, I believe, in Medjugorje. I didn't even know what it was. I was just, you know, a priest blessed me, and I went down on the floor and had heat and electricity for like a half an hour. I was like, what is this? I knew it had to be God. And then I went on a very fast track to come into the Catholic Church. And it was, you know, the difference of learning how to know that God, to have an encounter. That's one of my favorite words. It's an encounter, and that's what I pray for everybody in the world, to have an encounter with God, no matter how it is. You know, mine was, I believe, somebody I used to make fun of. You know, I apologize to her every day. I just didn't know you. But you know, that faith makes all the difference in the world, because
Amen.
Now I hope I can say that I trust God.
Yeah.
Now it's 30 years, so I think I really did have a healing. But many people have said to me, well, what if it comes back? What if you get cancer again? Are you going to say you weren't healed? You know, are you sure that you were healed?
Yeah.
You know, and I know this was the Holy Spirit, because I wasn't even thinking this. And I just said, you know what? Lazarus is not walking around today, is he? He's not walking around, is he? And they were like, what? What are you talking about? And I said, he was dead, and he was raised to life. You know, that was a healing, I would say, right?
Right.
He was
Well,
rotten.
and Kathy, there's a lot of times when we go to healing services, you know, the healing, and the priest talks about this. The healing is either, could be physical, emotional, spiritual, psychological. So there's also all elements of the healing. But Kathy, you're a cancer thriver. You're a cancer thriver who went 30 years ago at that shocking experience when you didn't have that faith to cling on to. And look where you are today, better, stronger, faith-filled. I mean, it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. And I just want to say, you're a strong woman. I can relate to everything you've been through, except for the St. Paul conversion experience. But I could only imagine what an incredible moment that was for you when you all of a sudden did that 180 and you now embraced faith. Kathy, you're awesome. This was a home run with me. Jerry?
I cannot add too much to that, Kathy, except just to say I am rejoicing with you in whatever healing God has given you and how long that it's been. And I love your response, your Lazarus analogy. It's true. Lazarus was raised from the dead, and of course to eventually die again at some point. And see, Jesus uses those opportunities, like apparently he has in your life, Kathy, for your benefit, but also for the benefit of others. And I'm sure you've parlayed that into being an evangelist, being a witness to others of the power of God in your life. So thank you, Kathy, for the call from Bucks County, listening on Holy Spirit Radio. We appreciate you joining us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Greg, John, Shaprisa, you are next, and we've got Thomas, it looks like, as well. We'll get our short little pause here in just a moment. Just to reset the topic today on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, we're asking you about your mindset or where your heart is when it comes time to go to the doctor. I've got a doctor's appointment coming up in a few weeks. I'm a lot more comfortable going now than, say, I used to be. I used to have a lot of fear, Debbie. I used to put off going to see the doctor for years, and now I don't go all that regularly, but I'm more at peace going. But always knowing that there could be something found or uncovered. I don't want to keep going back to my sister's situation, but 15 days ago was 1 year since she passed away, and she went in for just a routine little pain in her side, and it kept bothering her, and her husband said, get in there and get that checked out. They thought it was a bowel obstruction. Doctor wrote her a prescription, was going to send her out the door, and he just, at the last minute, he says, you know what, just to be safe, let's get a picture of that. And that was it. She got, the next call she got, doctor says, please come in and bring your husband with you.
Oh, my goodness.
When you get that kind of call, and like I said, Debbie, she just went in thinking, she's probably going to get a prescription or, some easy little solution to this little pain that I'm having, so.
Yeah. Yeah, wow.
Anyway, I don't want to scare anybody with that, but
no, but that does. I mean, that's reality. That's reality, and like Kathy's story. I mean, look at what she went through, and that's the reality of having these tests, and then the outcome. We have to deal with it, and faith matters. It really does. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We'll be right back.
Welcome to our prayer today for the Thursday of the first week of Lent, our little meditation, which is on prayer. And it's on Jesus' teaching that we must pray persistently, must not just give up. In the Gospel of St. Matthew, in the 7th chapter, he's very, very clear about that. He says, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be opened. And then he says, which one of you, if his son asks you for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks him for a fish, will give him a serpent? If you then, who are evil, know how to do good to your children, how much more will your heavenly Father give good things to those who ask him? Now that's very important, because the vast majority of sincerely religious people, and a whole lot of other people who aren't so seriously religious, do pray to God and ask him for help, for favors, for things they need. Sometimes they ask for silly things. Sometimes they ask for things that aren't even worthy of God. They're worldly things. Sometimes we ask for good things, but they wouldn't be so good for us if we got them, but we don't realize that. And Jesus doesn't say that you will get what you ask for, but that the Lord will hear you and he will give you what you need. I think that's extremely important. And to realize as life goes on, when you prayerfully try to do something and it doesn't work out, that in his plans, perhaps almost unseen and unknown, God will accomplish what you have asked.
Thanks for being with us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're talking about going to the doctor today and how does that make you feel. But before that, I just wanted to highlight an upcoming program today. Keep in mind that EWTN Radio really prayerfully thinks out all of these topics and has them all planned for us to get us closer to God. So I just would recommend just keeping EWTN Radio on all day long. But let me just highlight, if you can just make a note of this, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. It's Open Line Thursdays with Father Larry Richards. And he's taken callers and their questions on the new evangelization. Now, if you've never heard Father Larry before, I don't know why not. He's everywhere, but he's amazing how he answers, and he has such passion with his answers. So please try to tune in 3 p.m. Eastern Time for Open Line Thursdays, and that's today with Father Larry Richards.
Okay, back to your calls. Greg, thanks for holding patiently in Nashville, listening on the EWTN app. Greg, this is Take Two. I'm Jerry. She's Debbie. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fine, guys. Hey, thanks for taking my call, of course, and really appreciate your show and stuff. My take on doctors is I really avoid them as much as I possibly can, and the reason why is that St. Pio said years ago when he was dedicating the huge hospital to take care of all the wounded soldiers and people coming back from the war, that the hospital is for the patients and not for the doctors. And I believe he said that because he knew that eventually the doctors would start to do more things as far as overprescribing colonoscopies. I don't know how much money they make for colonoscopies, but I think they make a lot of money every time a doctor refers you for a colonoscopy, because they're always pushing that no matter what. I'm 58 years old. I'm not going to have a colonoscopy. My wife's a little older than I am. Well, I said that, but you know, we don't do that. If I really am sick and I really have to go to the doctor, I'll go to them and let them evaluate me and say what they feel is wrong with me, and then I'll try to do what I can to take care of myself in my own means, but not through the medications and all these drugs and things. Me as a truck driver, it breaks my heart when I go into schools to deliver, certain things to schools, and I see all these poor children that are disabled and all these disabilities, and deep in my heart, I know it's from over-vaccination. It's these vaccines and vaccinations has just gotten completely out of control. And I guess one more thing to say was that, I don't know if you ever heard, I don't know if there's some other saints that also mentioned that it's going to be a point where doctors have forgotten how to be doctors and how to actually take care of people. And that's what we're at. We're at the brink of that now. Now, there's always people that, they get, that will have cancer and they catch it early and they're cured, which is great. But there's a lot of doctors that aren't really there. You know what I'm saying? That's just the point I'm just trying to make, I guess.
Yeah, and Greg, I'm with you on this in this sense. I mean, I think that I have had a hard time doing this, and I think as a society, we've had a hard time doing this. And what this is understanding that we are really in control of our health care. And not doctors. And that, forgive me if there's any doctors or nurses listening. I'm not saying you're not valuable and not an important part of our lives, but I think what you're saying, Greg, and I would agree, is, we have to, sometimes we just abdicate that completely to the healthcare system and just, whatever medications, like you said, they want to throw at us, we just take them. I guess I need this because my doctor says I do. And so we don't really, and Debbie, you can speak a whole lot more to this than I can, but you know where I'm going with this, Deb. I think we don't look at ourselves and the care that we're giving ourselves and the care that we're receiving from, doctors and so forth, and just really trying to evaluate what is best for us. Right.
Well, we've had Dr. Bill Sears on several times on the show, and he's been on EWTN, and he's just an amazing pediatrician and very well respected, him and his wife, who's a nurse and written many, many books. And he always advocates self-care first. And that's what Jerry's talking about, self-care first. And then, healthcare. But I really agree with that, what Dr. Sears has to say, because it's important that we start with ourselves first and take all the things we can do to better our health before we run for all the quick fixes that sometimes people do. And so I really like that approach. The other thing I just want to say real quickly, Greg, is I think you were referring to the hospital that's on the hill up in San Giovanni Rotondo. I actually saw that hospital. I was there for several days on a pilgrimage, and I didn't want to leave because St. Padre Pio's statue and picture is everywhere. It's even on the side of the hospital. And you're right. It was a much different approach that he had. And I just wanted to echo that part of it. And I appreciate you mentioning St. Pio because he's actually one of our favorite saints. But what do you think about what we were just sharing about self-care?
I was going to add one other thing. Right now we here in Tennessee, we've had numerous schools that are closing because of the flu and things. And if all these vaccinations were so good, you would think that the results would be the opposite. And if we're trying to prevent all this, I don't remember, in my lifetime, ever having such a big epidemic where we're having to close schools because of sickness and flu and viruses that are going around. My mom's 91, and blessed that she's still alive, but our grandmothers in their 80s and 90s, they were never vaccinated to this extent that we have now. So I just kind of look at the past to kind of form of opinion of what's going on now and compare the two, and what's the difference between the 60s and 50s and 60s when my grandmother's mother was growing up in the 30s and stuff were growing up compared to now. And that's the big common denominator there, is just the never-ending vaccinations of children and stuff. So
Well, Greg, you're going about this
in.
in an intentional manner, as I was trying to say a few minutes ago, and I think that is very much in your favor. That's what I try and do, and I would try and encourage everyone listening to do the same thing. Again, don't fire your doctor. Don't stop going to see him. Don't stop taking medications if you're on them. But
it's a healthy
really,
balance.
just be mindful. Do your research. Talk to your doctor. Are there alternatives to, say, synthetic medications? Could my diet be better? Could I be exercising more? Take an active role, because no one, your temple is yours. The temple of the Holy Spirit that is you, it belongs first and foremost to you. So take an active interest in it. Thank you, Greg, so much. Appreciate that.
So
Great
much.
calls, Debbie.
I love your passion, Greg. That is awesome. Okay. Next up is John, waiting so patiently. John, let me check. John, you got our Virtual Patience Award. Well, that is so exciting. In St. Peter, Minnesota, listening on Sirius XM 130. Congratulations, John.
Good morning. I'm glad to talk to you. I'm kind of the opposite, talking about the positive of doctors. I think the importance is to have a primary care physician that knows everything about you. I mean, you go to the specialist, but it all comes back to your doctor and the care they can give you. And an example of how much care my doctor provided, my wife died 3 years ago, and I'd gone into the counselor because of it. And my doctor came in and spent an hour and a half, well, we're all crying, in the room supporting and just being there for me. And that's the difference in having a doctor that's your doctor and just going to the clinic and getting any doctor that's there. I think it's important to have a primary care physician to oversee everything.
Yeah. Well, I do. Debbie does. We both mentioned that here on the show. John, can we get your wife's first name? We always like to pray for, especially those who have gone before us. Mary Ann. Okay, isn't that your...
Her name is Mary Ann. We've been married just short of 45 years when she died. She was a blind date to the senior prom arranged by her mother, a Sicilian. That was interesting.
Arranged date, yeah.
Yes, I used to tease my wife. I said, I needed a date for the prom. I didn't care what she looked like. Well, you can say that when she's drop dead gorgeous. If she hadn't been so beautiful, I'd never been, because you got to be careful teasing a Sicilian. Yeah.
You don't have to tell me that, John. I'm 100% Sicilian. I get it.
Oh, yeah. Well, has anybody ever called you Italian?
Yeah, they call me Italian. I say I'm 100% Italian, and then I say I'm Sicilian, and sometimes they chuckle. They say, "Oh, that's not Italian."
my mother-in-law would go, "No Italiano, Siciliano," and of course the thumb was, the fist with the thumb sticking up was right in front of your nose.
Right.
Okay, Sicilian. I always thought Sicily was part of Italy, but apparently not. If you're from there,
it is. It's at the bottom of the boot there. Yeah. John, you are precious. John, real quickly.
Used to tell me that.
Go ahead.
Somebody go ahead. I'll be quiet.
I just want to say real quickly, John, you mentioned about a primary care physician. You're very blessed. I will tell you, those that have those relationships, those kind of long-term relationships with their doctors, we're blessed. There's others, because of changing healthcare and stuff like that, they're unable to have that. So it's a revolving door of doctors, and that's hard to develop the relationship. So I would say hold on to your doctor, and I do as well. And Jerry, I know you have regular doctors that you see as well, and it's very important to build those relationships. I agree with what John's saying, Jerry.
Yeah, for sure. John, thank you so much for calling Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and for sharing your wisdom on that, and that beautiful story of your lovely wife. And by the way, happy feast day. You're in St. Peter, Minnesota. Today is the Feast of the Chair of St. Peter. So happy feast day to you, John. Let's see. I'm trying to remember what the plug was for today.
oh no, you mean it's Church Pop, my favorite.
Church Pop. That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So many things, so many beautiful, awesome resources at EWTN. I couldn't remember which one I wanted to tell you folks about today, but Church Pop, P-O-P, churchpop.com. Log on there. You can sign up and get free every day. You'll get every day a free email with they have the teasers of some of the stories that are on there. Some are humorous, some are enlightening, some are educating, some are inspiring, some are very serious. You're going to find a whole lot of content. There are quizzes and games, and it's a fun site for the entire family. Churchpop.com, a service of EWTN. Check it out.
I love it. Shapricha, I hope I pronounced it correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. In Westchester, New York, on Facebook Live. Welcome to Take Two. Shapricha? Are you there?
Yeah, hello?
Okay.
Yeah, hi.
How do you say your first name?
Shpressa?
Shpressa.
Shpressa. Okay, beautiful. Well, welcome. Thank you for waiting, and tell us what's going on with you.
Okay, well, actually, while I'm on hold here, I'm like wondering, I don't know how helpful it will be, but I thought it would be nice to share because maybe a lot of people out there have the same experience I have. I actually haven't been to the doctor in many, many years. I've been, every now and then I gave it a try, trying to find a doctor, and I'd go for, a checkup and, complain about some issues I've had, like little minor issues. And I was kind of dismissed, about them. Like I tried going to dermatologists because I noticed, rough patches on my skin or maybe, like new beauty marks, I guess they're called, and I was never really treated for it. They said, oh, no, it's nothing. Just don't worry about it. Or I'd say, well, I'm getting bloated on my upper stomach, at the doctor. And I kind of was never really happy with the treatment, and maybe I'm a little distrustful, I don't know. But for many years now, I'm just kind of taking care of myself, trying to eat healthy. I'm very devout. I don't know if I'm right or wrong in doing that, but overall I've been pretty healthy, And today, actually, I found a doctor because I thought it would be a good idea to get a physical finally. So I did finally make an appointment with a doctor that's highly recommended. So I'm going to have my first physical today in a long time, so we'll see how that goes. But,
well, we'll definitely save some prayers for you, and you know that you're going into that physical with your guardian angel because your guardian angel's with you.
Yeah.
So we'll say some prayers for you. But I want to just share something because if you were listening on hold and you could hear us talking about this when I was talking about Dr. Bill Sears, and he talks about self-care, and that's exactly what you were doing. What I would recommend, this is just me, because this is what I do. This is my way of doing things. Is when I go in for physicals, I tell the doctor all the things I've done on my own. Like, for instance, if like you were talking about going to a dermatologist, if you have like, a rash or something and I used one of my grandmother's recipes and it worked, I tell the doctor that. And they work with me. I've had doctors say, you know what? I've heard that works. That's great. Then and did it clear up the issue? Yep. Okay, great. And I've had doctors say to me, you know what, Deb? That's an old wives' tale. Doesn't really work, but if it worked for you, great. Here's something else if it comes back. So I'm constantly in communication with that relationship with that doctor or doctors. I actually have doctors, but it's fabulous, and they very much, my doctors anyway, very much support when I have these really unique my grandparents' recipes, probably from Sicily. So I don't know if that's kind of where you're at, but it sounds like that's what you're doing with your health as well.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much what I've been doing, trying to eat organic and trying to keep healthy. But yeah, I think you're right. I think also what happened is I used to have a doctor I really liked, and then he ended up retiring. Mm-hmm. And then once he retired, he gave the practice over to his son, and then his son, instead of having like these old-fashioned, family practitioner offices, he kind of joined a really huge group,
Gotcha.
And then I just kind of get experience with a few,
Right. But I do.
There, and I guess maybe I'm wrong to be so distrustful, and I can't do everything on my own. I mean, I do novenas, I do things like that, and I've been to healing masses for. Sometimes I've just taken like somebody else, a family member, and then I've gotten graces, and maybe the priest approached me saying, I want to pray over you, and I said, oh no, I'm not here for myself, and then he says, well, I want to pray for you, and then he prays over me a prayer that, I kind of needed, but I didn't speak up. So it was interesting, But I guess going to the doctor, I'm going to give it a shot, So
well, Shpressa, I want to say, first of all, I applaud you for going. You said it had been years since you've gone. And, the analogy that sometimes I make is like the body, I make the analogy between the body and an automobile. We can't just drive the car without changing the oil, checking the tires, putting gas in the tank, things like this. And the body's the same way. Maybe we can go years, during certain periods of our lives, but, and I'm not, the thing is, my nurse practitioner now, she keeps wanting to see me every 3 months. We've been doing that for about 10 years. And I'm going in March, and I'm going to tell her, look, I'm going to call you if something goes wrong, or maybe I'll be in a year or something. I don't see the need to go every 3 months. But I also want to just say, Debbie, this word of encouragement to anybody who stays away from the doctor because of whatever reason. They think I'm fine, everything's great.
Or fear.
Or apprehension. I'd say, I don't know if there's a general rule. For me, it would probably be about once a year, maybe 18 months, but just to get in there and make sure that nothing's out of whack, because we can think everything's fine and feel great. So, Shpressa, I'm so glad to hear that, and glad that you called the program from Westchester,
and we'll be praying
New York.
for you. Yep,
Yeah,
we'll be
for
praying
sure.
for you on your appointment. Jerry, this is no accident, and this is totally true. This is absolutely true. I just got a text message. This is what it says. Debbie, you are overdue for your dental visit. Please call to set up an appointment.
They must be listening to Take Two with Jerry
I was
and Debbie.
thinking the same thing. I guess I'm going to the dentist. Here we go. All right, Tom in Buffalo, New York on the Station of the Cross. Welcome, Tom, to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, Tom. Hey, Tom.
Hi,
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Just fine.
Oh, great. Okay, great. So I'm actually a physical therapist. I go to people's homes, and it's kind of a nice opportunity for me to play an advocate because I get to know the patients. Actually, I was thinking funny about how you had said people get white coat syndrome, which happens to me. I do people's vitals when I come into the home, and a lot of times on the first visit, the pressure does run a little higher, but then after a couple of visits, my patients get to know me, and then the blood pressures tend to be a little more normal for them. So, but because I'm in the home and it's not a clinic, I get to know my patients better, and having a little bit of medical background, I'm able to be the kind of go-between because I talk to the doctor's offices if there's any problems with the patients. I just let the physician know so they can, whether it's infection. Sometimes I see people after surgeries, like a couple days after. So I'm the eyes and ears for the doctor, but again, I'm the advocate. But the point of why I'm telling you this is that I also use this as a platform, kind of as an opportunity to. I'm a baby Christian or Catholic, actually, a returning Catholic, and I use it as an opportunity to kind of plant some seeds when I'm there. You know, people are in situations where they're in pain and they're sometimes they don't have caregivers. A lot of my patients tend to be older, and I either help encourage them with their faith. Some of them don't have faith, and I try to plant the seeds for them to maybe try to initiate some kind of spiritual development for them, which I feel is just helpful in times when they're dealing with their health and possibly terminal conditions.
Right. But Tom, let me just interject something here. What you're doing is what we've been saying on Take Two from the beginning when we started the show, is that it's so beautiful when you can weave in your spirituality, when your work that you're getting paid for becomes a ministry to you. And I think that is great when you take that. Yeah, because, and here's the thing, Tom, you sound like a really caring soul. And when your patients, when your clients or patients, when they start to trust you and build that relationship, what a natural way for them to talk about their spiritual life. I think it's beautiful. More power to you, Tom. That takes a lot of courage. And I think you're going to get a lot of great results for that. I believe there's going to be eternal rewards for that, Tom.
Absolutely. And I almost feel like I'm cheating because I am there for work and I have to be there anyway. But I'm very passionate about my patients, and I'm also very passionate about my spiritual beliefs. I'm very involved in my spiritual growth. But because I'm in that situation, I almost feel like, geez, it's almost too easy because I am there. I have the time, and so I just plug it in. It's just a matter of being conscientious because you can't always plug it in, with everybody, and so you just have to sort of maintain that professional boundary. So in a way, I feel like I'm cheating because I'm already in.
Well, Tom, if I can give an analogy to that, I have ridden in many taxis during my life, and a lot of them, you will see religious articles, how they put them up on the visors and so forth, crucifixes and pictures of Our Lady, and then they'll have either Catholic radio or Christian radio on in their cab. And you know what? They're at work. I presume they're not breaking any company rules by doing that. Maybe if they own the cab, they're obviously not. So they're at work in that place of responsibility where they have to, of course, be respectful of their people who ride in the cab with them, but they have that freedom as well to lay over the top of that, those opportunities to evangelize and share the faith. And that's all you're doing, Tom. And I'm sure you see nothing wrong with that. Debbie and I don't either. And we just cheer you on, Tom. And we know that you're planting a lot of seeds and really helping people grow closer to the Lord. So Thanks for being with us today, Tom, on the show. We really appreciate that. And keep up the great work in that physical therapy. That's important for people recovering from injuries and illnesses.
Yep. Did you want to share a comment, social media comment?
Yeah, Clarissa, we're going to get to you in just one moment. We heard, and this is important too, this is from Nina, who watches us on YouTube. My aunt went in for her routine checkup and they found breast cancer. Thankfully, she's doing amazing and they found it on time. But that is why they found it in time, because she followed the doctor's instructions of getting checked every year. See, so again, we got to get in there on a routine basis. And it says her main source of strength is prayer. So thank you, Nina, for sharing that. And now, Debbie, we have, looks like Clarissa is next.
We do, and we got to save just a tiny bit of time at the end of the show. Clarissa in San Antonio, Texas, on Guadalupe Radio. We wanted to squeeze you in. Hi, Clarissa.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Hello? Okay, great. It's so funny, the topic today, because I was on my way back from getting my medical records from the hospital. I know y'all had spoke about going to the doctor and those that kind of don't want to go because they're afraid of what they're going to find out. In 2015, I was having some health problems and couldn't go to the doctor right away because I didn't have insurance. So early 2016, I finally said, I don't feel good. Something's going on with my body. I need to talk to somebody. So I called a gastro doctor, and they told me, come in, it's okay. If you don't have insurance, you just pay, out of pocket fine. I went, talked to a wonderful doctor and said, okay, with everything you're telling me, you need a colonoscopy. Okay. Went in there, I said, I don't have insurance. It's okay. I'll work with you. Wonderful doctor. And so I went in thinking, okay, maybe it's a polyp, maybe it's a hemorrhoid. My parents have had those things happen to them. Went in, came out, and waited. The doctor came up and said, yes, you had a polyp, and you have a tumor and it's cancer. I'm 42 years old. I heard the other person, the truck driver, say colonoscopies, they're not, the insurance, doctors make a lot of money off of that. Well, my doctor worked with me, and I basically didn't pay the whole $1,000, and he says it's okay. I paid $800.
Got about 15
and just
seconds,
waived the other
Clarissa.
$200. But anyway, so
got about 15 seconds, Clarissa. Sorry, we're going to hear the closing.
And anyway, so basically, I just feel that colonoscopies are important, and I'm 42 years old, and they say at 50 people should get them done now if they're not feeling well. I was healed. I went to a lot of healing masses. I had a wonderful, wonderful staff and doctors, and now I have to change all my doctors. So I know that you're speaking about that too, as well as keeping your doctors and being lucky. But you know what? I have to change all my doctors now, and that's what I'm going through right now. And I'm going through the process of having my next colonoscopy to make sure that the cancer doesn't come back or hasn't come back.
Well, Clarissa, we're going to pray for that.
Yep,
yes,
we're going to pray.
Yes, we
Absolutely.
will pray hard for that. Pray to St. Peregrine, who's the patron saint of cancer. And please understand, dear listeners, we are not advocating going to the doctor, not going to the doctor, getting colonoscopies, not getting colonoscopies, taking medications, not taking medications. We're just simply having this conversation here, really just to see, kind of take the temperature, if you will, of where we all are about going to the doctor and how we feel about that. So it's been a tremendous conversation. Great contributions, Deb.
Absolutely. And Dana and Mary and Michelina, we're so sorry, but you can email us. You have some interesting comments. Please
Dana,
email
please
us.
Email Dana. I want to hear what you say. Take2@EWTN.com. Sorry, Debbie.
No, that's okay. Tomorrow's unscripted. Until then, have a beautiful and blessed day. We'll see you real soon.